The real battle isn't out there. It's inside your mind. Every day, we allow little things to destroy us. A single message can ruin our peace. A stranger's opinion can poison our confidence. A mistake can turn into self-hatred. We scroll through feeds, compare, react, and somewhere along the way, we lose the quiet strength that once defined us. The truth is brutal. Most people aren't living, they're just reacting. Stoicism understood this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote about having power over your mind, not over external events. That line isn't just philosophy, it's a weapon. Today, we're going to discover 8 Stoic principles that will reprogram your mind so that nothing and no one can disturb your peace again. This isn't motivation, it's mental armor. Why do we avoid what strengthens us? We avoid everything that can make us stronger: the cold, the silence, the pain, the confrontation. We treat these experiences as enemies to be eliminated, instead of teachers to be studied. We seek warmth, validation, convenience. However, each step toward comfort seems to tear away a piece of our resilience. The silent poison of comfort. We live in a time where a weak Wi-Fi signal feels like suffering. The slightest inconvenience sends us spiraling. Comfort has become the most silent poison of the modern world. It sedates your potential, softens your discipline, and makes you forget what you are capable of enduring. The wisdom of Seneca. Seneca wrote about anticipating the arrival of problems to take away their power. By voluntarily entering into difficulty, we pull out the teeth of fear. The Stoics trained for difficulty, not because they were masochists, but because they understood the formula for strength. Body and mind grow only through resistance. Marcus Aurelius and the acceptance of discomfort. Marcus Aurelius faced war, plague, and betrayal. His strength did not come from privilege. It came from accepting discomfort as a daily ally. Think about your own life. When was the last time you truly grew? It wasn't during the easy days. It was when life pushed you to the limit, when you lost someone, when plans crumbled, when you had to rebuild from scratch. Discomfort as transformation. Discomfort is the furnace of transformation. Every cold shower, every early morning when you don't feel like moving, every hard truth you speak instead of hiding, these are the moments that sculpt who you truly are. Modern society teaches you to pursue pleasure and avoid pain at all costs, but Stoicism whispers the opposite. Train for hardship so that nothing external can command your emotions again.
Daily practice. Start small. Take a cold shower and feel the shock without running away. Sit in silence and resist the urge to pick up the phone. Practice on the day your mind screams, "Not today." Engage in the conversation you've been avoiding. Every time you lean toward difficulty instead of retreating, you reprogram your nervous system. You're teaching your mind that pain isn't danger, it's information. The secret? The man who can suffer willingly can never truly suffer again, because he has turned pain into practice. Today's action? Choose a small discomfort and embrace it completely. Affirmation: discomfort is my training ground. Emotional slavery. You can master all the strategies, all the skills, all the rules of success, but if you don't master your emotions, you will be a slave to them. The moment someone insults you, your peace crumbles. The second a plan fails, frustration takes over. One small trigger, and you become a puppet pulled by invisible strings. It's not life that defeats us, it's our own reactions to it. Emotions as messengers. We often think that emotions are commands we must obey, but they are just messengers, and like all messengers, they should be listened to, not worshipped. Epictetus said that it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. These words are the cornerstone of emotional freedom. When you realize that every external event passes through the filter of your own interpretation, you regain control. The sacred pause. Modern life teaches us to express everything, react instantly, post, respond, argue, prove. We confuse self-expression with self-mastery. The Stoics understood that reaction is weakness disguised as honesty. A strong person doesn't suppress emotion, they structure it. They pause, breathe, and choose their response. That pause, those few seconds between stimulus and reaction, is the cradle of your power. Practical technique. Next time anger arises, don't rush to defend yourself. Observe it. Feel it rise. Silently label it. This is anger. You have just created distance between yourself and your emotion. The storm is still there, but you are no longer in the middle of it. You have retreated to the shore, watching the waves break. 3-step ritual. When something frustrates you, pause before reacting, breathe before speaking, question before assuming. Ask yourself, is this under my control? If not, it's not worth your peace. Today's action? In a frustrating situation, practice the 3-step ritual. Affirmation: I respond. I do not react.
The liberating truth. The world doesn't owe you justice. That phrase might hurt, but it's the truth that sets you free. Every time you expect life to follow your rules, you give it the power to break you. We tell ourselves, I worked hard, I deserve this, or I was kind, they should be too, but the universe doesn't keep score the way we do. The unfiltered reality. You can be honest and still be betrayed. You can be loyal and still be left behind. You can give your best and still lose. That's not injustice, it's reality. Once you stop demanding justice, you stop suffering twice. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius ruled through plagues, wars, and constant betrayal, yet he never cursed his fate. He simply wrote that you can commit injustice by doing nothing. His point was simple. The only injustice you can control is the one you commit. What others do is beyond your reach and therefore beneath your concern. Becoming unbreakable. When you expect justice, you become emotionally fragile. Every disappointment feels like an attack. Every loss feels personal. But when you accept that life isn't fair, you become unbreakable, because now nothing surprises you. Everything trains you. Every rejection becomes a lesson in resilience. Every failure becomes a mirror reflecting your next step. You no longer waste energy asking, why me? Instead, you ask, what now? Redirecting energy. Every time you feel wronged, pause and remember, this isn't personal. It's the nature of things. Then redirect that energy into your discipline. Channel your pain into action. If the world doesn't give you what is fair, give yourself what is within your control: effort, integrity, and clarity. Today's action. When something seems unfair, tell yourself, it shouldn't be fair. I should become stronger. Affirmation: justice isn't promised. Discipline is. The dichotomy of control. How much of your life is wasted trying to control what was never yours? You worry about what people think, what they will say, how they will respond. You plan every outcome, every scenario, as if the universe followed your agenda. Epictetus, a man born into slavery, became one of the greatest philosophers in history because he mastered a rule. Some things are under our control, and some things are not. The map of freedom. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. Everything you think, feel, or do, that is within your control. Everything else, other people, outcomes, the weather, the past, the future, is not. The moment you forget that boundary, you suffer. Redefining control. You can't control what others say, but you can control what you repeat to yourself. You can't control how long you live, but you can control how you live. You can't control whether someone loves you, but you can control whether they love with integrity. The fortress of peace. Imagine your peace as a fortress. Every time you stress about what is outside your control, you open the gate and invite chaos. But when you keep your focus on what is yours, your thoughts, your actions, your character, it becomes untouchable. 2 circles exercise. Take a piece of paper and draw 2 circles. First circle, everything you can control, your effort, your words, your attitude. Second circle, everything you cannot control, other people's opinions, luck, time. Every time you feel anxious, look at this paper. Remember, my peace belongs within the first circle. Today's action, draw your 2 circles. When the storm comes, choose to stay in the circle that belongs to you. Affirmation, I control my actions, not the world. And that is enough.
The results trap. Everywhere, people are addicted to results. They measure self-worth by likes, numbers, money, and praise. When they win, they feel alive. When they lose, they crumble. We've turned life into a scoreboard, and in doing so, we've forgotten how to play the game. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius wrote to never let the future disturb you. You will find it, if necessary, with the same reason you use today. Every time you obsess over results, you are abandoning the present, the only arena where power truly exists. What you really control. You don't control the reward, only the work. You don't own the harvest, only the planting. Success is a byproduct, not a pursuit. The shift in focus. When you detach, something incredible happens. Your focus sharpens. You stop worrying about how things should go and pour all your energy into doing them well. You shift from performance to presence. This change alone makes you more effective. Daily practice. At the beginning of each day, write a sentence. Today, I will focus only on what I can do, not on what I want to happen. Then, whatever you were working on, do it as if it were sacred, because it is. The process is where virtue lives, where character grows, and where peace hides. Today's action? Write a goal. Below it, write, the result is not mine, the effort is. Affirm it. I am proud of the effort, not the result. Memento mori. Most people live as if they were going to live forever. They postpone dreams, delay forgiveness, and waste years preparing to begin. The Stoics had a phrase for this, memento mori. Remember that you will die. At first glance, it sounds grim, but in truth, it is the most powerful reminder to live. The waste of time. Seneca wrote that it is not that we have a short life, but that we waste too much of it. He wasn't warning us about death. He was warning us about distraction. We drown in trivial things, rolling, gossiping, worrying about what others think, while the moments that could make us feel alive silently slip away. Clarity through mortality. When you realize that each breath brings you closer to the end, suddenly clarity cuts through the noise. What truly matters reveals itself. The Stoic doesn't fear death
because he's too busy living deliberately. He sees each sunrise as a gift already paid for, each conversation as possibly the last, each act of kindness as something sacred. Living with urgency. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. For him, mortality wasn't a threat, it was a compass. It pointed back to what mattered: virtue, service, and presence. Transformative questions. What would you do differently if you truly believed that today could be your last day? Who would you forgive? What truth would you finally speak? What work would you stop putting off? These questions aren't meant to scare you, they're meant to wake you up. Nightly exercise. Before bed, write down 3 things you would regret not doing if tomorrow never came. Then choose one and do it this week. Don't wait for inspiration, permission, or perfection. Just act. Today's action? Write down 3 things you would regret leaving unfinished and do one now. Affirmation. I live as if time were borrowed, because it is.
The philosophy of the obstacle. Marcus Aurelius wrote one of the most powerful lines of Stoic philosophy. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Read that again. Let it sink in. What blocks you is not the problem. It's the solution in disguise. The Stoic inversion. Most people see obstacles as walls. Stoics see them as doors. Where others retreat, the Stoic warrior leans in, because he understands something profound. There is no dead end, only inflexible minds. Did you lose your job? Now you have the freedom to find something better. Did a relationship end? You gain space to rediscover yourself. Did a project fail? You learned 10 ways not to do that again. The fire metaphor. Think of fire. What happens when you throw wood on it? The fire is not destroyed by the wood, it consumes it and becomes stronger. The Stoics trained their minds to function in the same way. Every obstacle is fuel. Every challenge feeds your inner flame. You don't avoid the obstacle, you devour it. Ryan Holiday and the modern concept. Ryan Holiday popularized this idea with his book, The Obstacle is the Way. He showed how historical figures from Thomas Edison to Amelia Earhart transformed their greatest setbacks into their greatest triumphs. Edison didn't fail 1,000 times in inventing the light bulb. He discovered 1,000 ways of how not to make a light bulb. See the difference? Same situation, opposite interpretation. Reframing exercise. Take the biggest problem you're facing right now. Write it at the top of a page. Below, complete these sentences. This obstacle is teaching me. Because of this problem, I can now. The hidden opportunity here is. You just transformed your perspective. The obstacle didn't change. You changed. The daily practice. Every time you encounter resistance today, traffic, criticism, delays, or rejection, pause and ask, how can I use this? Not why is this happening to me, but how is this working for me? This subtle shift in language reprograms your entire mental operating system. The story of James Stockdale. Vice Admiral James Stockdale spent 7 years as a prisoner of war in Vietnam. Repeatedly tortured, he used Stoic principles to survive what others could not. He did not deny the brutal reality of his situation, but he also did not let it define him. He found ways to lead other prisoners, create codes of communication, and maintain his dignity.
When asked how he survived, he quoted Epictetus. The Stoics prepared him for the unthinkable. Fundamental truth. You can't always choose what happens to you, but you can always choose what you do with what happens. There's always a move. There's always an angle. There's always a way to turn poison into medicine. Today's action. Identify a current obstacle and list 3 ways to use it to your advantage. Affirmation. Every obstacle is an opportunity in disguise. The forgotten antidote. We live in an age of unprecedented abundance, but we suffer from chronic emotional poverty. We have more than our ancestors ever dreamed of, but we feel less satisfaction. Why? Because we stopped practicing gratitude. Epictetus and appreciation. Epictetus, who spent half his life as a slave, understood gratitude better than most. He said, "It is not the man who has little, but the one who desires more who is poor." Gratitude isn't about having everything. It's about appreciating what you have while working for what you want. The hedonic trap. Psychologists call it hedonic adaptation, our tendency to quickly return to a baseline level of happiness no matter what happens. You get the new car, the promotion, the relationship, and 3 weeks later, you're already looking for the next thing. Stoicism offers a way out. Premeditatio malorum, negative visualization. Negative visualization. Unlike modern positive visualization, the Stoics practiced imagining losing what they had. Not out of pessimism, but for perspective. Marcus Aurelius imagined waking up and finding everyone he loved dead. Sounds grim? It was strategic, because when he returned to reality and saw his family alive, gratitude flooded his heart. Morning gratitude exercise. Try this tomorrow morning. Before picking up the phone, before checking emails, do this mental exercise. Imagine that everything was taken from you during the night. Your health, your loved ones, your home, your freedom. Feel the weight of that loss. Let it be real for 30 seconds. Then, open your eyes and realize you still have everything. Every breath is a bonus. Every moment with people you love is a borrowed gift. The Stoic Diary. Marcus Aurelius kept a diary, his meditations, where he practiced gratitude daily, not for public records, but as a private spiritual exercise. Start today. Before going to sleep, write down 3 specific things you are grateful for. Not my family, too vague, but my son's laughter when telling a bad joke at dinner. Specificity brings emotion. Emotion creates lasting change. Gratitude as a shield. When you cultivate genuine gratitude, something remarkable happens. Complaints lose power. Envy disappears. Comparison becomes irrelevant. You cannot be simultaneously grateful and miserable. These emotions do not coexist. Gratitude drives out resentment like light drives out darkness. Seneca and true wealth. Seneca was one of the richest men in Rome, but he wrote, "True happiness is enjoying the present without anxious dependence on the future." He understood that wealth does not create gratitude. Gratitude creates the experience of wealth. You can have millions and feel poor, or have little and feel abundant. The difference is not in the bank account. It's in the attention. The radical practice. Today, try this. Every time you pick up your phone, before opening any app, think of one thing you are grateful for at that exact moment. The ground beneath your feet, the air in your lungs, the ability to read these words. Do this 100 times today if you pick up your phone 100 times. You are reprogramming your brain to look for blessings instead of problems. Today's action.
Start a gratitude journal with 3 specific entries per night. Affirmation: gratitude transforms what I have into enough.